Let's stay on the theme of economic stimulus, and joining me now live from Melbourne is Liberal MP Tim Wilson. Tim, good morning to you. Good to see you.
Morning.
So the economic announcement, it's been sent to the printers, so no more tweaking, the Treasurer said this morning. But I guess the changes are going to be around these people who last time ended up receiving something of a pay rise. So it makes sense that those are the creases that will be ironed out this week.
Well, we don't want to prejudge what is going to be in this economic statement, but what we do know is that we have to have policies that are sustainable and reflect the current circumstances. So at the start of this crisis, there were measures that were put in place to make sure that people who urgently needed assistance could get it, whether it was small businesses or whether it was people who'd found themselves unexpectedly unemployed. But the sustainable model going in this stage of the crisis is to make sure that we're not overpaying people, that we're not providing additional support where it isn't needed, because all of that is borne by debt on future generations of taxpayers.
Sure. And also when it comes to these so-called zombie businesses, I mean, does it make sense that that should just be put to an end?
Well, I don't want to call any business a zombie business. Many of them have had their entire business operations taken away from them because of measures, public health measures related to COVID-19. But there are obviously some businesses that are going to keep operating for some time, so long as they have support. And when they're put out into the marketplace to get their own revenue, they're going to struggle. So there's going to need to be some readjustment, and we need to support and assist those people as much as possible through that restructuring.
And when it comes to job seeker, I mean, I don't think it seems by the Treasurer's language that it's not going to go back to $40 a day. Do you agree that would be harsh to go back to $40 a day?
Well, it never was $40 a day. That's just the talking points of people who wanted to increase it. There were 99% of people who received job seeker got additional supplements and support.
It was pretty close to $40 a day, wasn't it?
No, it included things like rent assistance and other support payments on top of that. So will I think there be some adjustment? I suspect there probably will be, but let's wait and see, because the objective shouldn't be to keep people on job seeker or to make it desirable. It should be get people into jobs. Now, that's obviously not possible at the moment in many circumstances, but that's where the incentive must remain an earned living.
Sure. And I mean, there's some figures that have been thrown about this morning from the Australia Institute that says hundreds of thousands of people are going to fall into poverty if the government help is wound back. So if JobSeeker is wound back, if JobKeeper is wound back, they're expecting hundreds of thousands of people to join these long queues needing more help, to fall into poverty is what they're saying. Do you think that could be accurate?
Well, I know we're facing very challenging and difficult times at the moment, and no one's pretending otherwise. The government certainly isn't. Australians who are experiencing hardship know full well the impact of COVID-19. Now, the measures we have to have are to support people, but for them to be sustainable, because we have to make sure that we carry society through this period and the structural reform that no doubt is going to occur afterwards, because what we want is Australians to be working in a safe and prosperous Australia. We aren't there now. We know that. And so it's about what adjustments we need to make and what support measures we put in place to get us there.
Do you feel like it's a foregone conclusion that debt will break through $1 trillion?
I'm not prepared to concede any number, because the objective has to be how we maintain and contain spending in the circumstances. We will do, and the government will do what it needs to do to support Australians through this very difficult time. But there are ways that we can pare back measures, and that's what's being considered at the moment. As you said, it's gone off to print for the statement later in the week. And there will no doubt be further measures that are implemented in the budget coming up this year and probably next year as well, as we continue to support people in this adjustment.
Okay, on to matters in Victoria. Masks are going to be mandatory from 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday. Have you got a mask?
Got right here. So there you go.
You're ready to roll.
I was prepared for that one.
Do you support it? Obviously you do, but do you think it should be mandatory?
Well, I mean, it's a measure we have in the circumstances. You know, is it something I ordinarily would support? No, of course not. But in the circumstances we face, I think it's a sustainable measure. I don't think in a choice between masks or ongoing lockdowns, masks are a much more sustainable measure. And I think that's where ultimately we're going to have to head, because there needs to be a balance of the risk profile to get Australia open, businesses operating, people back at work, kids at school, teachers teaching classes. Masks are a more sustainable strategy than lockdown.
Greg Hunt struggled to put his mask on when he was before the cameras last week. Are you going to fall into that trap?
Well, hang on. I actually dropped it. So there you go. I've got it now. There you go.
Nailed it. First time. Well done. Can do it. All right, Tim, just on to a few other things before I let you go. There's an interview last night I want to get your thoughts on. It's doing the rounds at the moment. Chris Wallace from Fox News, he kind of put the president into his place by questioning some of the figures that were thrown about. Let's just play a clip of that.
When you talk about mortality rates, I think it's the opposite. I think we have one of the lowest mortality rates in the world.
We're going to take a look. We had 900 deaths on a single day.
We will take a look.
This week.
Ready?
You can check it out.
Could you please get me the mortality rate?
Yeah.
Kaylee's right here. I heard we had one of the lowest, maybe the lowest mortality rate anywhere in the world. Do you have the numbers, please? Because I heard we had the best mortality rate.
The case rate of similarly situated countries, as Dr. Burks points out, and this is
number one low mortality rate.
I mean, it's a really good interview. What are your thoughts on it? Have you managed to check it out?
I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen certainly a lot of social media activity around it. And, this is a critical time in the presidential election where, of course, President Trump's record against managing the coronavirus with the state governors and all those other people on the ballot come November are going to be put to the test. But I think most of us look at the response from the United States government and question whether it was the most effective response. And that's understanding that you need to both deal with the health challenges as well as the economic challenges as well.
Just finally, before I let you go, Tim, former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, he said that former South Australian Senator Nick Xenophon should join a foreign influence register for spruiking Huawei. Do you agree?
Resolutely, I agree. And Nick Xenophon's career was built on campaigning against pokie machines because he thought they were a moral evil. How he could then go on and work for an entity like the Chinese Communist Party's telecommunications arm, I think remains even more of a greater moral evil.
OK, Tim Wilson, good to get your thoughts. Thanks for joining us as always.
Thanks, Pete.